Hello everyone, this is Trevor with Mando Deck Tech, and today we're going to be diving back into another Twilight of the Republic deck tech. If you are new to the channel, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. I will be posting a lot of content that's going to be looking at new deck builds and a kind of theory crafting what the meta is going to be coming into as we move into this new Set 3 meta, which I'm super excited about. Now, as we go in and take a look at Jango Fett, first thing I want to go ahead and say, I was very meh on this leader when he first came out. We've seen them come out with a couple of leaders in the past that had some like exhaust mechanic. None of them really seemed to gel. So when I first read this, I was like, it's not going to work. Now that I've played around with it a little bit, I was wrong. This may actually really work. In fact, I'm at the point now where I'm like, are we going to be seeing another Fett meta? It's just going to be Daddy Fett. I'm not saying he's as good as Boba, but it's pretty good. So before we kind of dive in and get run away with it, let's take a look at the abilities itself. For the leader, Jango Fett says, when a friendly unit deals damage to an enemy unit, you may exhaust this leader, and if you do, exhaust that enemy unit. Now, the thing that I do like about this is that it doesn't cost you an action. I love anything that just kind of automatically triggers for action economy. Now, this leader does come out with his unit on turn, Resource 5 as a 3/7, which is not as good as Boba's 4/7, but 3/7 is still pretty good. But his ability is interesting on the flip side because he says, like his leader side, when a friendly unit deals damage to an enemy unit, you may exhaust that unit, but there is no limitation on this side. You can get multiple exhaust on the same turn with this ability. Has that come up with a lot in playtesting? No, but I have triggered it more than once. So with that in mind, what we need to do is kind of look at other cards that we already have in the environment with the new set that have coming into a play effect that deal damage, so we can cue Jango Fett's ability as much as possible. So now let's go ahead and take a look at some of the early combo pieces that I've been taking a look at. So when we talk about Jango, the first place I went to was the Bounty Guild Initiate. This is a 1-cost 1/2. When played, if you have another Bounty Hunter unit, deal 2 damage to a ground unit. This is good because with Jango's ability, it also says exhaust that unit. So is this a turn 1 play? Maybe if you land Greedo, but this may be something you're going to hold later in the game for a really cheap 2 damage and tap. I like the Rokai Gunship as well. He is cheap 2/1, but he has a when defeated, deal damage to a unit or base. Again, triggers Jango. Fifth Brother may finally have a home. He's kind of seen a little bit of play here and there. He's a unit that I've liked from the beginning. We just really couldn't find a good home for him. But now with this ability to where he can attack base, deal a damage to himself, and then deal another damage to another ground unit, trigger Jango Fett, I think his tempo play in this deck is insane. Now, we come to the Elite P-38 Starfighter. I'm going to tell you, Yellow Villain has so many good second turn plays for villain space. It's insane. I mean, we've got Lurking Tie, we've got 7th Fleet Defender, and the Elite P-38 in this deck overperforms. It's so good. So what we can do is that for 3, we play a 3/2 in space. When you play him, he deals damage to a unit. We can trigger Jango. He also does it when he's defeated. So when he dies, he deals another point of damage, and again, we can also then trigger Jango. So I think if we're going to play a Jango deck, no matter what, the Elite P-38 is like your first round draft pick. You're going to put that in immediately. He's an auto include. Now, Ruthless Raider, probably your first pick or your second pick as you're going to be building this deck. As good as this thing is, it gets even better in this deck because on the 6 resource turn, he's a 4/6, and when he deals that 2 damage to an enemy unit, he can trigger Jango's ability. So Raider went from being one of the best to maybe the best thing out in the deck outside of maybe a Fire Spray. Like, it is fantastic. And with all of these exhaust mechanics happening left and right, Boba unit is going to be, it's going to be a field day for Boba unit. It's just going to be so great. He's going to have a target-rich environment to be able to use his on-attack ability, because if he's attacking an exhausted unit that didn't interplay this round, he deals 3 damage to that defender. So, I've seen it happen where, opponent plays a Kanan Jarrus, I pop it with the Bounty Guild Initiate, taps him down, and then Boba Fett comes over, does the other 3 damage. I've killed Kanan, and it didn't take any damage back. So that's happened a couple of times. So there's some really cool things that we can do with the Boba Fett unit. Now, there are other combo pieces out there that I did not include, but these are the main ones I wanted to build. And now let's kind of take a look at the deck itself, and then we'll talk through some of those choices, and I'll talk through some of the things that I didn't include. So here is the deck. Now, this is probably the second or third iteration of the deck, but this is kind of where I've got it right now, and I'm pretty happy with it. I'm not saying this is a final form by any stretch of the imagination, but what we've got is we've got Greedo, and then we've got the Bounty Guild Initiate as some of our turn 1 plays. Now, because we're playing the Bounty Guild Initiate, we need to have a heavy, solid Bounty Hunter package, so as we go, you'll see more Bounty Hunters in it. Now, I'm playing Holdout Blaster. Now, maybe DL44 is better. It's a fantastic card. We saw that in the last set. We saw it in the last meta. It's amazing. What I like about the Holdout Blaster is it's cheap. It only costs 1, and it triggers Jango Fett. I like cards that, as they come into play, they do things immediately. So let's pause for a second and talk about the Flamethrower. So there is the upgrade from the last set we saw that was cost 2, Flamethrower, attacks, deals damage on attack. The problem is it doesn't do anything when it comes into play. You have to play it and kind of hope it lives, and then it triggers its ability. Maybe Flamethrower makes the deck. I had a hard time getting it to work in playtesting. I just like things that happen immediately. No Good to Me Dead seemed to be like a common choice for this deck, since we're kind of staying on theme with exhausting things, and it's a fantastic tempo play. Crafty Smuggler is a solid turn 1 play, 2/2 shielded, and the fact that you might be able to trigger Jango's ability more than once off of him is really, really strong. We've talked about the Rakai Gunship. I think he's an auto-include for all that he does. I like the fact that he trades with A-Wing, he trades with Red 3, and he can pop shields. He can do all kinds of crazy stuff with his 1 point of damage, and trigger Jango Fett. Now, I went with Breaking In over Surprise Strike. I'm not saying that it's better than Surprise Strike, but it is a similar thing, and I like the fact that Saboteur can help us get past shielded and also Sentinel units. We're going to have a long discussion on which one of these is better based on what we're seeing in the meta, but we're going to play Breaking In for now. I think it's really good. We've talked about Fifth Brother. We've talked about Boba Fett. I have Relentless Pursuit as one of our, we need that mid-range removal. Whether this is an open fire, maybe it's Frozen in Carbonite, which I think a lot of people are sleeping on that card. But because we have so many bounty hunters in this deck, Relentless Pursuit may be really, really strong. Now, the Elite P-38, we've already talked about him. Imperial Interceptor, again, anything that comes into play, deals damage immediately, has to be in consideration. Right now, I like him. Also, the fact that if hits a really big target, but he can't kill it, he can still exhaust it with Jango's ability. We went with the Forlom Zuckuss combo because I need a lot of bounty hunters, and I think these guys are fantastic together. I had Bosk in an original ability version of this because his ability does trigger. I wasn't playing enough events to really get it to go off consistently, so I went with Forlom Zuckuss. We could trade it out and get a Bosk in there. It's totally possible. We've talked about Ruthless Raider. Of course, we're going to be playing Fett's Fire Spray because his ability, we was teased very early on that it also works with Jango, and now that we have Jango Jango Leader, we now get to play the Fett's Fire Spray as well. And then at our top end, I went with Cad Bane and Count Dooku. Now, we may change these numbers around a lot, but for the top end, I like the fact that Cad Bane, when he comes into play, immediately captures some stuff. Maybe that's all we need to clear the way to finish off our opponent. And also, I do like the fact that Count Dooku, we can exploit him in earlier if we need to, which we obviously would. I don't really like him at 8. But when we exploit him and he comes in and the damage that he does, maybe he taps down a couple of key guys. I have seen it early where I was able to tap down a Luke Skywalker or something of that nature just to kind of get in that last damage. So I think Count Dooku works really well with this deck. And I think Cad Bane also kind of gives us a very interesting top end. Could those cards be something else? Possibly. I mean, Emperor Palpatine is a pretty good option as well because when he comes in, he deals a whole bunch of damage and we can use Jango's ability to tap something down. But right now, this is the two that I've got. So with that, I would love it if this is an open conversation. Please leave some comments down below. I'd love to chat with other people to find out what you guys have been playtesting. Did I miss something? Is it as powerful as I think it is? Because I've been running it up against like Sabine and Ray Tarkentown and Boba, and it's performing pretty good. It's definitely holding its own. So with that, I appreciate it. Until next time, let's keep it rolling. Talk to you later. Bye.